The most important aspect of your life is your individual liberty. Only individual liberty can exist for everyone. Within your right to liberty is also your right to property. The most important concept to understand, liberty and property, is rights versus privileges. Your liberty is a collection of all your individual rights. A right is defined by Black's Law Dictionary as a power, privilege, faculty, or demand inherent in one person and incident upon another, the powers of free action. Please note that rights are inherent in a person. This means that it is physically impossible for rights to be extracted from a person by any means. Imagine a brick made of lead. The first thing that will cross your mind is that this object will be heavy. Extremely high density or weight is an inherent quality of lead. If an object isn't heavy, you can be certain that it is not made of lead. You cannot put a lead brick into a vacuum and suck out the heavy. You cannot put a lead brick into a microwave and zap it until it becomes light and fluffy. The quality of being heavy is one of the distinguishing attributes of lead. A right is something you can do without asking permission. The opposite of right, therefore, is something you cannot do without asking for permission. Anytime you need permission to do something, it is a privilege. Black's Law Dictionary defines this as a particular and peculiar benefit or advantage enjoyed by a person, company, or class beyond the common advantages of other citizens. An exceptional or extraordinary power of exemption. Rights and privileges are opposites. There are three corollaries to the definition of rights. They are: all rights are derived from property. Every right implies a responsibility, and the only limitation on your rights is the equal rights of others. Let me demonstrate the principle behind my first corollary with an example. Suppose I walk out of my house onto my land and walk back and forth across my land anytime I want without asking anyone's permission. Walking across my land is a right. Now, suppose I walk to the store located on the other side of your land. Can I walk back and forth across your land anytime I want to? Certainly not. Not without your permission. It is a privilege to walk across your land. Assuming that we've been neighbors for a while, it is possible that your response would be, "Sure, you can take the shortcut. What are friends for?" So, on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I walk to the store making my way across your land. Let us now assume that something unpleasant happens to you. You misplace a winning lottery ticket, or your significant other leaves you for your best friend. You wake up Thursday morning in a terrible mood, looking for an opportunity to vent your frustrations. As I begin to make my way across your land, you shout, "Hey, mister, walk around. That's what fences are for." The important concept here is that privileges are granted, and they can be revoked at any time for any reason. Once again, rights and privileges are opposites. Anytime there is a dispute about rights, the argument can be settled by determining who owns the property in question. If I own a piece of property, I control what happens to it. If the community has the supposed right to regulate my property whenever it wishes, then I do not truly own the property. I am merely occupying it through the generous will of the majority. The second corollary on the subject of rights is the fact that every right implies responsibility. Rights and responsibilities are as inseparable as the heads and tails of the same coin. You cannot have one without the other. I have a right to wear a gun on my hip, but I also have the responsibility to make sure that no one is injured by it. Furthermore, carrying a gun does not give me the right to your property. I only have a right to my property, not to yours. This goes for all rights, not just the right of self-defense. Another example is the right to travel. I have the right to travel, but I have the responsibility to not hurt anyone while traveling. An individual does not need anyone else to travel. This is an inherent right you were born with. You have to be able to travel in order to survive. The third corollary on the subject is that the only limitation on your rights is the equal rights of others. To put it in another way, you have the right to your property. You do not have the right to anyone else's property or their liberties.